All right, St. Louis. I'd like to say good morning, St. Louis. As you can see, I'm on the way to the gym, St. Louis. I got to get it in. We got so much work to do. We are, unfortunately in trouble. And I don't think many of you understand what I mean by trouble. And the reason you're not understanding me is because you are in the system. You're either hot or cold. Depending on your mind is going to determine in the direction in which you're flowing. In other words, imagine yourself being in a room and there's a powerful fan on the room. A fan, ceiling fan or a fan. And it's so powerful, it's causing the dust mites to be blown in a different direction. And the dust mites can't go back in the opposite direction until they have the ability to reach the power that's greater than the fan. The dust mites, I'm going to categorize as your mind. In other words, your synapses, your neurotransmitters that has to encode the information to be able to make sense of its reality, has not the ability to know that it's incapable of encoding the information because the fan is blowing so strong. And as a result of the fan blowing so strong, the dust mites are being tossed to and from. In other words, they're actually going in the direction of the laws of thermodynamics, entropy, and chaos, and disorder. And what happens, the dust mites, which is your mind, that must do the encoding in order for you to see what you need to see in order to know what's there to know, is being tossed. Just like a ball of lint, but the lint is not as strong as the power of the fan. However, the lint, which is the dust mites, which is the mind, never was able to break free from the force. The mother, the grandmother, the great-grandmother, everyone that was born in this world were born subjected to the fan, to the power, to the dust mites, to the magnetic field. So everybody built their home in the direction of where the dust mites were being tossed based upon the laws of thermodynamics. So that level of intellect was pretty much controlling the world in which everyone dwelled, because they didn't have the power to break free from the fan. Until one day, one of the dust mites, which is the mind that was among its brothers and sisters, decided that it wasn't going to be moved. And when it decided that it wasn't going to be moved, it realized the more it stopped the movement of the fan from moving it, it was beginning to see things that it was incapable of seeing while it was being tossed to and from. And as a result of being able to sustain itself and slow down its movement, it created a vacuum. In other words, the fan didn't move that particular dust mite like it moved the other dust mites. And the dust mites that it moved were dying because they were lacking the power based upon the tossing to and from, because they were incapable of holding their ground. But the one particular dust mite held its ground. And when it held its ground, it started to see what was moving its brothers and sisters. It realized that its brothers and sisters were black and white, Asian, Hispanic, all nationalities. However, the fan didn't want its brothers and sisters to know what they were capable of doing. So as a result, he was now able to see, because he could measure the position and the velocity based upon him being able to stand his ground. He was seeing behind the veil. He was seeing that there was something that was moving his brothers and sisters, black and white, Asian, Hispanic, from all over the world. And as a result of him being able to see, he began to exponentially grow, because the more he was able to see, the stronger his mind became. Then he was able to realize or come to the conclusion that the fan literally was rewiring his brothers and sisters' mind, just like it rewired his mind. But once it was able to reach a certain level of power, he was able to stand his ground and be able to see things face to face, and came to the conclusion that he was one just like his brothers and sisters, establishing false gods outside of them. And as a result, they gave their power to the fan, but yet they didn't realize the power and the light was dwelling in them the whole time. It's time, St. Louis, Chi-Town, Alabama, Georgia, New York, the Bahamas, Oregon, Florida. It's time. It's time for us to stop fighting one another, black and white, Asian, Hispanic. It's time for us to put down the guns. It's time. But in order to put down the guns, you have to do like the dust mite did. He came to the conclusion that he was going to fight for what he believed in, because he loved his children, he loved his grandchildren, he loved his great-grandchildren, and he realized that he was going the wrong way. But once the dust mite got a glimpse of reality, he realized he had to wake up his brothers and sisters to let them know the time has come for us all to take that damn mountain. And we must take that mountain by any means necessary. And we must come to the conclusion and the realization that greater is he that's in us than he that's in this damn world. We must wake up in this season and come to the conclusion and understand that we are that lily in the valley, Alpha and Omega, first and the last. We've been seeking after something outside ourselves, but yet we failed to realize we were trying to find ourselves. St. Louis, it's time. It's time, St. Louis. We're waking up. And trust me, I'm excited. Stay tuned. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm smarter than you think. God bless.